Hi guys, today we're going to be making an Easter card, and I thought that I would use this gorgeous set of dies from Spellbinders, this little Easter egg die. And you've got one filigree die which just cuts the centerpiece out. It doesn't have an edge around it, so it only cuts that out, so you could use it kind of like a filigree aperture if you wanted to in the middle of a card. But if you put this piece around, which is the second die that comes in the set, you can put that around the edge of it, and that creates your cut line around the edge of the filigree, so you can have a complete egg as well. So that's what I want today. I want that version because I want a complete egg done, but I also want to use this on its own to create like a background to my filigree. So let me just show you what I'm trying to achieve. So using the two together, we're going to get this look, which is really pretty. So if you didn't use the outside die, this die with your filigree, then it would just cut this filigree part, it wouldn't cut the edge out. And then for this die on its own, we got this piece here, and then you just put the two together to create a really pretty looking egg. So you've got lots of options actually with two dies. It's surprisingly, just because they haven't put that cut edge around, it gives you so many more options. So we've got those two already cut. This was I cut when I did my demonstration video of my magnetic plate, and I really liked the die, which is what inspired me when I cut this out. It inspired me to make a whole card using this. So we're going to use my magnetic plate again. So just to remind you, put your magnetic plate down. You don't need your extender platform in any way, your multi-purpose platform. These tabs that you would normally have to have down for this thin dies, they're already built into the magnetic plate because that's all they're for, your metallic thin dies. So they've built that extra thickness in, so you don't need to worry about it. Literally put that to one side, your multi-purpose platform. Then take, after your magnetic platform, take one of your cutting mats, pop that down, and then we're going to decide on our paper. So I've got a piece of pink. Now I'm wanting to cut this filigree with the edge cut out, so I'm going to pop my cutting side down. So I'm going to put my egg up there like so, and you can hear it clacking down because of the magnetic, and then my cutting edge down as well, so, and then making sure it's nice and central and it's all gapped properly, and then popping our mat, our other cutting mat on top, and then just winding the handle through. Now you don't have to roll it back, but I kind of like to. So when it's a little bit more intricate to die, it's always not a bad thing to just do that extra run through. So pop that up, and you've got a lovely little egg aperture in your card there if you wanted it. And then we've got our actual egg, and we'll just gently lift that off, and there's our die cut. So really pretty. So we're going to put that to one side. Okay, so now we're going to take our lilac piece of paper, and obviously if we had several dies, then we could take these through in one go, you know, if we had different dies designed, but because we're doing the same design, it's more difficult. So then I'm going to pop my mat on top, and then we've got our actual Easter egg from this die. I'll just put this together first to show you how pretty that looks. Okay, so here's our eggs all cut out. Now I'm not positive I'm going to use them all, but I hope so because I think they're so pretty, and I think we could make a really fun Easter card. Okay, so I had a little think, or a little rethink really, about what to do with these eggs that we've cut out, because originally, as you know, we were going to put them all on one card, and I just felt that that wouldn't look quite right. So what I've done is I've decided to make like a little notelet set of Easter cards using the eggs. So we've got 7 eggs, so I've cut 7 bases. These are A6. It's approximately 4 by 6. It is slightly off on that because A6 and A4 cards are slightly strange measurements, so it's roughly that. And then I've cut a coloured layer that's going to match in. It's actually the same cardstock as the eggs, so I used up my scraps, and this is roughly 1/8 of an inch down from my original card base rather. Then I've taken some more card, exactly the same white card as that I made for my card bases, and I've cut another layer which is going to come down 1/8 of an inch from my coloured layer, or 1/4 inch from my actual card base. So we've cut those out all ready to go. I also, just as an aside, I've got these gorgeous coloured envelopes which I think will be really fun and really make that little card set of Easter cards a really fun, sort of really just bring it to life. I always think it's nice having coloured envelopes. Okay, so let's get putting this together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab a coloured layer, and I'm going to grab a white layer, and I'm going to pop some ATG on the back of my white layer here, and I'm going to stick this to my coloured layer. Like so. So we've put that on. So that layer is going to sit on the front of our card base like this, just to create just a nice little border, a little snap of the colour. But before we do that, I'm going to stamp, I want to stamp my sentiment on, but also I've got to put some ribbon on as well. So I've got for each of my cards, little eggs, I've got a complimentary ribbon. So on this one we've got a lovely kind of orangey red, because our egg is kind of orangey red. And I'm just going to decide, I think we're going to have the egg like that and the ribbon underneath it, and then my sentiment kind of down here. So before we put any of that on, I think the next best thing to do is to actually stamp our sentiment. So just inking this up, and I'm just using an archival ink pad here. So it's a really nice crisp sentiment ink for you. And we're just going to pop this down in the right hand corner. There we go. So that says Easter Wishes. Okay, and then while we're waiting for that just to dry, because we'll give that a second, we'll just stick the layer of our egg to the bottom layer here. So we're just going to use a Zig pen to do that, because that will be the easiest way, I think. So we'll just get my little craft mat here so I don't mess up my nice cutting mat, and then we're just going to go round with the Zig really speedily, because you don't want the Zig drying on you if possible. We want a permanent adhesion. There we go, and then just grabbing that and positioning one on top of the other. Now you could, I guess, 3D your layers, but I think, to be honest, that would be quite difficult with such a detailed kind of filigree on this egg. So I think it would be really hard to keep that up 3D'd with all those delicate little pieces. So that's our egg there. So we've got that done. So let's just pop this again back to one side and bring in our layer. So that's had a chance just to dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the ribbon across like so. So I'm just going to cut that off like that. We're going to just take my ATG and we're going to put a little adhesive on each end of our ribbon, and this will just allow us, when we put this around, it will just help us for sticking the ribbon down. So we're going to put it about there, I think. So let's just fold that layer back and then it sticks down because we've got that on there. So we just want to make sure that's straight and then stick that down as well. There we go. So that's the ribbon done. Now what I'm thinking is that's going to go there, so I think it would be quite nice to have a little knot of ribbon, but I'm just trying to decide where we want it. I think I'd quite like it over here, so I'm just going to take this. Obviously we're going to have some excess here, which will be good. There we go. So that's just put that at an angle, and then we're going to just snip this at an angle like so. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So now we can put our layer down onto our card base. So I'm just going to be using ATG on this because I don't need it to have a I don't need any height, and the ribbon's pretty thin, so I'm okay on that. And again, just making sure that it's lined up nice and straight, and then just positioning that down. I think that's looking really pretty. And then we can take our egg and just put little bobs on the back to give a 3D effect. But obviously with this, because you're not shaping it, then you could easily use your foam tape as well. That would work just as well because you're not doing any shaping. And then just turn that over carefully without dropping it, and position our egg centrally, giving it a little squish. I don't want it like massively high, so we just want a little bit of height on there. And there we go, one Easter card. So we're going to put that to one side to let it dry, and then we're going to do the next ones. So we're going to do them all the same. Taking our layer, this is a gorgeous aqua sort of tone. Get our ATG, just pop a couple of strips of adhesive down the back there, position that on here. I tend to like to go from the long edge, I find that easier. Position that like so. Take our sentiment stamp, ink that up with our archival ink. Make sure there's no extra bits of ink, you don't want that going on there. And then stamping that in the corner. Okay, and then we're going to get our ribbon. We're going to cut a piece like so. Take our ATG and just do the edges. Then grabbing that, placing it around our card. Like so. It's probably just a little bit high. Let's wriggle that down a bit. There we go. And then we're going to take our card base, not our card base, our layer base here. We're just going to put ATG over it and some at the top and bottom. Get our card base, position our card layer on the base like so. Take our piece of ribbon and do a knot. So we're just doing a simple knot here, nothing too fancy. And tying that. Then just snipping at an angle, like so. So that's done. And then we're going to take our Easter eggs. So we're going to put the two layers together again very quickly. So just taking our zig pen, running over it. Making sure all those little pieces are covered. And putting one layer on top like so. And then with our glue gel, just putting some little blobs of glue on the back of our egg here. And popping that down onto our card base here and just giving it a gentle squish so that it's nicely stuck onto the card. Okay, that's two done. I shall go through the others now, and then when they're all done I shall come back and show you what they look like. Okay, so here's our finished cards. I think it looks a really nice collection, and I think if somebody's sending out a load of Easter cards, then this would be a really nice, quick, easy way of putting some cards together so that you had a nice selection of cards to send out. So I hope you've enjoyed making these lovely cards with me. I really think they're so pretty colours, and I love this Spellbinder dies. So I hope you've enjoyed it too, and I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!